Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Apex Podcast. It has been a minute. Life has been crazy. I'm looking here at the last time we even got together to really record a full episode, and it has almost been a full month since we debriefed Miami. Gang is all here. We are all back together. Josh, I will come to you first. How are you today?
Doing good. Just got back. I was in Charlotte for the U.S. national team soccer game with my dad, so just got back, ready to sit down with y'all, talk about this last weekend, this full events.
Man.
Full of it. And Paul, you also traveled, repping an awesome hat from Mexico City. How was your trip?
I was in Mexico City. That was a blast. I had not been there since 2014, so it was a great time. Loved every minute of it. Ate a lot, drank even more, and it was a great time.
Good. I'm so glad to hear it. And I had a little family trip as well. So we've all just been traveling, bing-bonging about. And so we're happy to be back together, debriefing some amazing racing. We had a huge weekend last weekend. We had Canadian Grand Prix, Indy500, NASCAR, Coca-Cola 600. This last weekend, we had IndyCar in Detroit, IMSA in Detroit, which Josh and I have not watched yet, but are going to. So no spoilers. And then we also had the Nashville NASCAR race. So there's been and tons of other racing too. There's been like GT racing, MotoGP. There has been a lot happening. So we have a very full episode. So let's get right into it. Let's talk Canada. First of all, I got to tell you guys, not being able to watch it drove me insane. I had tested everything the morning of. I was able to watch all the qualifying and everything on that on Netflix on my iPad, but nowhere in Mexico was streaming the race. I even tried to sign up with an F1 TV account and everything. Apple TV wasn't streaming it. So I was just watching the F1 app live updates. So I did not get to see the chaos at the start. So I would love to hear y'all's thoughts on everything from the get-go before we dive on into it. What did y'all think about that start?
Josh?
I think we got to even go beyond the start, just minutes prior. I mean, the big question right at the onset, right, is why are the McLarens on wet tires? That's like before we even get into the madness, like the tire blankets come off and everybody's immediately puzzled. Here you are, great qualifying results. You're sitting, stacked on the second row of the grid. Great position for massive points, and McLaren's finally looking like they've got something together, and then they've got wet tires on. Very confused on that one, right?
I felt like that was a total Ferrari move.
It was no rain really in the forecast.
Ferrari.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely not something you would expect McLaren to do, but I mean, we remember last year in Qatar, like there was several races where there were some questionable strategy decisions. So maybe this is new Ferrari, but the only other guys that I saw on wet tires were way at the back, and that's what you would expect. That's a huge gamble. Maybe it pays off, but we're already at the back. If I'm Carlos Sainz, maybe I get a chance, but not at the second row. That was wild immediately, and then obviously the multiple formation laps was very confusing too. So,
and it's not like it was like downpouring or there was standstill water. Like the track was relatively clear for the most part. So I don't understand where the decision came from to put wet tires on. It was.
I don't know if they were banking on
me.
I think they may have banked on an early safety car. I mean, we saw it work. I mean, it worked as intended. Lando was able to get a great start and get out in the lead, but any more than 2 or 3 laps in those tires and your advantage is over. So I don't know if they were banking on a early safety car, but that's a huge gamble for second row to me. That just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I feel like they just made a mistake.
Oh yeah.
Like who made that decision? And if every other team on the grid, it's different if you're like, well, maybe we got some rain in the forecast and we're going to gamble on it but it seemed pretty clear and forecasted to be pretty clear for the beginning of the race. So I was quite confused seeing the updates come through on my phone. I'm like, what in the world is going on?
Yeah. Then we had,
you know what it was?
Yeah.
You know what it was? It was Zach Brown being in Indianapolis instead of being in Canada. So we did not have the voice of reason there.
Do we think Zach Brown is the voice of reason at McLaren, Paul?
I don't know.
That would not have been my guess.
That would not be my guess either. So I'm like, Andrea Stella, you got to eat this one. Or like, whoever made this call, it's not a good look. And obviously it made me very unhappy. I was very displeased, not happy with it. And I didn't ever figure out, why did Lando have to retire? Because I mean, like I never went back and watched the full race, but why did Lando end up DNFing? I missed that completely. I was just like ready to throw my phone into the pool.
It was reliability issues, but I don't remember ever saying exactly what it was.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm like, how does a car that has performed well in practice, in the sprint race, in qualifying have reliability issues? But hey, I guess that's motorsport for you, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, I think we need to talk about Kimmy.
Gearbox issue.
Gearbox. Okay.
I think we
Well,
need to talk about Kimmy and George together
Mm,
because is there trouble in paradise? Are we rewinding the clock to a Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg type of situation?
okay,
I think
here's
there's
my thing though.
potential.
Like, I think there is potential for it, but I think Nico and Lewis had underlying issues. They were such good friends for so long. Like, there was personal beef there. To me, what's happening with George and Kimmy is 100% ego driven. And like, Kimmy and George weren't like besties for the resties. They didn't like grow up in this racing together. So to me, the differentiator, like Nico and Lewis were like best friends and like did everything together, even like outside of racing as teammates. They were very, very, very close friends for a very long time. I think what we're seeing happen is that George was supposed to be like, this was his year, right? And he was ready for it. Everybody was ready for it. I was ready for it. I don't think we could have anticipated the incredible performance that Kimmy was going to deliver and deliver with consistency. Not saying that George has not delivered with consistency. He has. Kimmy's just delivered more. And I think that he is just driving incredibly. I think George is too, but I think it's really, really getting to George's head.
But I'll
Yeah.
argue that I don't even think that that's really the issue at play here. Like George has been plagued by some unfortunate circumstances that are out of his control completely. I think that Kimmy was the faster driver here this weekend particularly, but I don't think George
Mhm.
is far behind at all. And
No,
honestly, George looked a little bit more consistent, a little more polished, and I think he may have had a chance to win this weekend. But I don't see Kimmy like blowing him out of the water, right? I think that's
agreed.
the
Like
dent
Kimmy's just like slightly edging him out.
just slightly better, but in with the equal machinery and the way the regulations set up for the following car to have the advantage of the overtake mode, it keeps right in dead heat. And I think we're going to see that several more times this year. But it seems to be they're allowed to race; they can do what they want, and I think inevitably there will be contact, and take each
Oh, no
they're
doubt.
going to take each other out at some point. And they were probably an inch away from doing it this week.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
totally gonna wreck each other, and it's gonna be bad, but it's gonna make great headlines. It's gonna give us a lot of content to talk about and discuss for
No
sure.
doubt. Like we had papaya rules as a saying last year. Eventually, we're going to have something that comes on the radio with the Mercedes boys when there is contact. I mean, and Toto said they're free to race, right? But eventually there will be contact and we're going to get a radio message that gives us the same papaya rules vibes. I think for me, the reason I can tell that it's wearing on George was his reaction. I mean, getting out of the car, throwing stuff like true Karen George, like when you're the team lead, like you're expected to be the team lead driver, the more experienced one, like doing that kind of stuff. I mean, and like throwing that headrest thing, like that can create a dangerous situation. Now, like take your gloves off, throw your gloves down, have a little anger tantrum, but like throwing a piece of your car, that's crossing a line where like top tier drivers are not doing that kind of stuff in my opinion. I mean, I know they have historically, they shouldn't be. And so that for me is why I can see the cracks in the foundation at House of Mercedes because even though Kimmy's just slightly outperforming him and he's had a series of unfortunate events, George's emotions. To me, this is like when I go back 2, 3 seasons ago for George, when he was sending it into the wall every couple of races when he had that chance. I don't want George to go back to that place. And it seems like that strong, steadfast foundation is cracking for him.
Yeah, I think he just needs to buckle down and ignore the outside noise and just focus on his driving because he's capable of it. He's got a machinery behind it.
No doubt.
But there was a documentary about Kimmy on Netflix about his coming to the team. It seems to be like this is Toto's boy. And once again, I've said it before. It seems like George is just in the background, like, hey, Dad, look at me. Look what I can do. Look how high I can jump. Look how fast I am. And it seems like Kimmy is just out showing him. And I don't know. It's tough. It would, in between the ears can be a tough place to battle within yourself.
I'm
No
not
doubt.
sure that George is worried about any outside noise. I think that for him, his expectation was I'm the team leader. I've got the opportunity to get this championship. It's mine. This is my championship. We have the best car. I'm the number one guy. Kimmy's a rookie, in essence. I've got the experience behind me. I've got the car behind me. This is mine. It's locked. Right. And I
Mhm.
think especially with the way that he's gotten or lost this gap to Kimmy, being that it's not necessarily his fault. It's not truly he's not being outdriven, but here we are with a
Yeah.
50-point gap, right?
Right.
40 something points, whatever it is. I think the frustration is going to build because he's so far off the pace, but also should easily be beating his teammate.
That's why
So
I don't, for me, it's not outside noise as much as it's inside noise. Like
Yeah.
that eventually works its way into your head, knowing you're so close and that some of them had just like not even been your fault. That's why I think for me, it's just like not tuning out outside noise. It's like just get back to level headed driving George. And then, in 3 races, you could be right back in it.
Hmm.
I would love to see it come down to Kimmy and George fighting for a title this season. I mean, obviously, I'd love for it to be other drivers too, but if it's Kimmy and George all the way to the end, I would love it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what we're getting set up for. And as long as Mercedes continues this, let the boys go, I think we're in for a good rest of the year here because that was some of the best wheel to wheel racing over, what was it? I mean, at least 10 laps, just back and forth the entire time. That is exactly what we were hoping for. And I think with Canada particularly, the regulations really did well for Canada. That track just fits well. I'm not going to say the regulations are fixed and like this is what we should expect every race because I don't think that's true at all. I think we're going to have struggles again later in the season. But for tracks that are similar in style to Canada, this regulation set did well, and I think that's going to it gives me some hope for a couple more races throughout the year. I think Austria is the next one on the calendar I'm really excited for. I think it's going to be similar.
And I think as a whole, we've gotten some great battles even throughout the midfield. I mean,
So, yeah.
just so much good wheel to wheel racing. This is what we've been asking for the last few years. And slowly, and I know it's learning curve and we're tweaking as we go, but so far it's been exciting. I mean, Lewis and Max had some good fights there. So overall, it's been exciting throughout the whole grid.
Agreed. I think we need to also talk about Alpine.
Hmm.
Again,
Man.
delivering a double points finish. They're behind Red Bull in the constructor standings. Like, this is an incredible move for Alpine. We had the announcement of Gucci officially becoming title sponsor moving forward in 2027. Like, I think Alpine has like been silently moving and making progress, and it's shown up in the last several races. We've all been excited about it. Seeing it happen again in Canada to me was just really, really awesome. And I really hope because we kind of had the same experience last spring where Alpine did decently well in the first few races. And I remember us being like, could Alpine have found something? I really hope they have, though. So I thought it was just an awesome race again for Alpine, and I'm super excited for them. And then having obviously a huge title sponsor come in, that's a lot of needed funding. It would be really cool to see them continue to do well throughout the season. I mean, for God's sakes, Pierre is right behind Max in the
Hmm.
Drivers' Championship, too. Like, what?
Yeah, and look, and
Who would have thought that?
Franco's only 5 points behind him, so it's not like
Yeah.
there's much of a gap between them. I think that's honestly one of the cooler parts of the Alpine story right now is Franco Colapinto has found his
Yep.
footing, found a car that's underneath of him, and it shows that he's got some really decent potential. So that's been really nice to see. And he had the moment there getting out of the pit lane that almost cost him his race. But what a start for him for this season. I hope he can continue on. But that's
And
like you said
was
with Gucci getting an influx of money. Alpine's kind of a question mark. We've heard
Mhm.
the team's for sale. We've heard Christian Horner rumors. We've heard rumors from several different areas are saying that the team's for sale. We've seen they've shut down their engine supply. WEC they're not going to be participating in WEC next year. So there's a lot of question marks surrounding the brand, and it's nice to see an influx of money and with good results that may solidify that team for a little bit longer anyway.
Absolutely. And we saw the potential in Franco when he was with Williams in that little stint there. So we knew that he was a capable driver, but he was just in a dud of a car all last year. So it's nice, it's nice that he's coming back to his form with a car that's potentially going to be getting points. And he finished sixth, which, if I'm not mistaken, was the highest point finish that he's ever had. So, good for him. So, two very capable drivers. And I can't wait. I didn't think we were going to spend this much time talking about Alpine and how good they are, but
I don't
I'm
think
kinda
anybody
hopeful
would
to
have
see how
predicted
they
that.
do.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on Canada before we recap
Oh
points?
yeah, we got to talk about Williams is terrible. I don't know what
I don't
happened
wanna
over
talk
there.
about
I
that.
think that I was a big James Vowles guy. You guys remember from last year. I was pretty
Yeah.
excited about James Vowles. I
We
thought,
all were.
I
We
know
were rooting for you, James.
he sucks now. James Vowles out. Something
I
has
was I was
gone
happy Carlos was
drastically
able to
wrong.
end up in the points, though. I mean,
But
that
that's an illusion. That is an illusion because we had how many cars out, right? Was it 6 cars out?
yeah.
So now, and I also the same thing. I had Ollie Behrman in points, right? Complete fluke, right? He should not have been placed in a points position. You had several cars in the top 5 that should have been there and were not, right? We had
Mhm.
Lando DNF. We had a Piastri disaster class. We had George out. So I mean, there's like that's 3 right there that should have been top 5
Right.
finishers, and they that So midfield and some of those lower points positions, those are lucky points at this point. And it's great
Yeah.
that it happens that way, but it's not a true indicator of pace. For
Do we think that Williams is shot for this season at this point?
At this point, yeah, I mean, I think they've got the potential. They've got a good powertrain, right? They've got the best engine in the car. So they've got to figure out where the issue is. I don't know if they're overweight. I don't know if their aero package is terrible. So it looks to be, if it's one of those things, they can fix that through upgrades. But they need a big package through the European leg of this season, or they're done.
I'm not willing to write him off just yet. I'm still a little hopeful with James Vowles. It's still early on in the season ish. We did have that big gap in racing, so there's a lot of development that can occur. But even how bad Williams was, Carlos still finished ninth, 2 points. It's better than no points. So I'm still staying hopeful that they'll do something. But James Vowles promised us that 23 didn't matter, 24 didn't matter, 24 didn't matter. Everything was going to go into 26. So he needs to start figuring it out and figuring it out very quickly because his ace in the hole, big Carlos Sainz, is not. Carlos is not a midfield driver. Carlos is
And
not
he's
a bottom.
highly marketable and brings a lot of sponsorships.
He's not a bottom of the tier driver. He's not fighting for whereas Williams ran out eighth, and we've talked about it a lot here. 2027, there's going to be a lot of drivers that don't have a contract, and there's going to be the phone is going to keep ringing. And if James Vowles wants to keep Williams on this upward trajectory, something needs to change, and something needs to change like yesterday.
I agree with Josh that, like, they've gotta figure something out in this European leg. Like, it's too many races, too many important races before we head into silly season, that if they can't get some footing and get some grounding in this European leg, like, that it is really concerning for them, and I really hate it because I think everybody, everybody at the core of it is a Williams fan. Everybody does better when Williams is doing better, and people like it. But I do think that the stuff in the media about the rumors about the team culture and all the things happening behind the scenes coming out is probably not helping, especially with the timing of it being such a heavy European season. Like, this is worst case scenario if you're James Bowles. Your performance has been bad, and now all these rumors about lawsuits and team culture and employees leaving, like, this is not a good look for Williams. So I really hope they can turn this around. I don't know. I hate it.
Yeah. The world is F1 as a whole is a better place when teams like Williams, which is a historic cornerstone of the sport, is doing well. So I'm hopeful, but it, I'm very optimistic or very not optimistic.
I was like, "You're super hopeful and optimistic? Who are
Words
you,
are
Paul?
hard.
What Kool-Aid have you been drinking?" He goes to Mexico City and comes back optimistic.
I'm turning over a new leaf.
I
Listen,
love
there's
it.
boxes. We're moving. I'm turning over a new leaf in the chapter that is my life.
Denver is just gonna be positive Paul.
Oh
Denver
yes.
equals positive Paul.
Oh
I
yeah.
love it.
For those of you that don't know, next as of Wednesday, I'm moving to Denver, Colorado. So there's going to be a new background whenever I get my stuff set up.
Fresh new start. It'll be exciting. Okay, any other thoughts before we talk about this point scoreboard?
Well, real
Uh,
quick, how exciting is it that we got a Lewis podium?
mhm.
Ugh.
And
Yeah, that's
how
great.
excited was that both Max and Lewis put Kimmy on their shoulders?
And had a blast doing it. Like,
Yeah,
both of them have such a good relationship with Kimmy, and I think over the last few years, I think those 2 seem to have overcome some of their beef, and so it was really cool to watch the 3 of them celebrate Kimmy with such genuine joy. Like, they were so happy for him, they were so happy for where they finished, they both felt like they had good weekends, and I thought that was super exciting all the way around. I loved that podium.
absolutely. They had some great respectful fights, which is something you wouldn't have said, early on in Max's career. And I
No.
think it's a little bit of like Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton early on in their careers too. They hated each other, they talked crap in the media, and towards the end, they're like the best of buds. And I think that's as you mature and you put life into perspective, I think that's what starts to gradually happen. So I'm really happy for 'em. Great battling, great celebration. They totally loved being there, and I'm starting to see a happier Lewis.
Yep.
You
Good.
see it
We
on the
need that
media.
momentum to continue, especially going into Monaco, because we'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah, yeah. But overall, it was a great race. I watched. I was so into Indy 500, I didn't really get a chance to watch it live. But it was a fun race. Canada, it was Canada. Couple in the last few years, it's been that kind of a dud race. Not a lot was happening. But this year is they really turned it around, and with these new cars, I like it.
Okay, well, then let's do some points recap based on our predictions. And sorry if you guys can hear Biscuit barking downstairs.
Whoa, he is going to town.
Well, her best friend just walked through the door. She's
Oh,
she's very excited. Okay, so Josh, your podium prediction was Kimmy, George, Charles, Ollie in the points for shocker prediction. Paul, you had Kimmy, Lando, Oscar, and both Williams in the points. I had George, Lando, Kimmy, and I had Haas in the points, with it being a hopeful mention of Ollie Behrman. So, Josh, that means you picked up 2 points for Kimmy winning and Ollie in the points. Paul, you picked up a point for Kimmy, but you got a deduction for Orlando DNF. I picked up a point for Haas, but it negates out because I had a Lando DNF. So, Josh, that extends your lead to 8 points, with Paul and I sitting at 1 and
Hmm.
1. So, this is what we get for us not colluding. We were being
Hmm.
honest podcast co hosts with you, and we didn't collude. And we didn't collude about Monaco because we didn't think to. But you know what? We're coming for you. In this European leg, we're coming
Hey,
for you.
it's plenty of races right back to back within a short period of time. You've got plenty of time to
We got
narrow that
plenty of
gap.
time.
Plenty of
whoever
time.
You
made
did
this
have a
rule,
big lead last season too, and we came back.
Yeah,
So,
because I
you know,
started picking just random stuff, like hard ones, which I may start doing
whoever
again.
made this whoever made this rule about deducting points is stupid.
but we all agreed. We were like, "That's
That's
exciting."
a great idea.
That's a great idea. It's going really well for you, asshole. The rest of us are really having a hard time.
Pick better drivers. I don't know what to tell you.
I got to just pick better. I got to pick them better. Okay, well, let's talk F1 Monaco. Paul's favorite race of the season. Positive Paul. I didn't want to say it, but like for me, Lewis having a podium in Canada and having that positive energy and momentum going into Monaco, where these corners really kind of suit the Ferrari, in my opinion. Like, I am
Yeah.
hopeful. I am super excited for Monaco. I also watched the Formula E Monaco race this year, which I think Formula E in Monaco is so much fun. And that's why I was really excited to see F1 Monaco this year, because the cars being smaller, zippier, it allows for a lot more competitiveness, and it actually does allow for some overtaking. So I am cautiously optimistic for Monaco. I love Monaco. I know Paul hates it, but I am optimistic. Paul, what are your thoughts going into Monaco this year?
Before we get into that, I've missed this with all my heart because Josh hasn't been joining us as frequent with his stuff going on. Josh, can you please give us some nerd talk about this Monaco track because I miss it. I need to hear it.
Well, yeah, we're
It's
going to
good for
get
my
his
soul.
nerd talk. I
Yeah.
just was asking how you're feeling about the weekend.
We need to be optimistic because look at the smile on his face. Look at that beautiful smile on that beautiful man's face. He needs to give us some nerd talk before I bring the room down a little bit.
All right,
So-
give us the nerd talk. You be positive, Josh.
I'm specifically excited for Monaco this year because of the way that they're structuring the rules for it, which people are going to love it, people are going to hate it, whatever. But there is no straight mode for any place on the circuit, which is fine. I think that that's going to lend to really, really tight racing. I think that negates the the Mercedes advantage in some ways. I think that that will benefit Ferrari and McLaren as they are really close, and I think their aero package is a little bit better. And like you said, Ferrari being as strong as they are in the cornering speeds, that I think that this really has a chance to be a Ferrari good weekend. Monaco's very tight, it's unforgiving, and as many young drivers as we have, I think we're due for a good couple of safety cars. We've been kind of
Yeah.
we're
We've been
due,
skirting around some of them.
we're due for them, and I think that if last weekend was anything to show, as tight as these cars can be, and as tight as that circuit is, we're probably due for some safety cars, which is even better for strategy options and some undercutting, overcutting kind of stuff in the pit lane, because that's truly the only way you're going to make up positions is with some crafty strategies. So we'll see if the smaller cars lend to a couple overtakes, maybe into the last corner and ready on, or maybe into the chicane out of the tunnel. But I still don't think it's going to be the blowout shocker 100 or more overtakes like Formula E ends up having. It's not going to be that much fun, but I do think I expect it to be more fun than years past. Yeah, well, I'm interested to see how this no straight mode thing works out. If that was a good move or not, like we saw last year, kind of flopped with the forced pit stop numbers that obviously they're not going back to. That kind of flopped.
They were
So-
like, that was not good.
Yeah,
it didn't work, and people did not like it.
People just pitted on the first lap and just got it over with. Yeah. So we'll see. I think this, with this regulation cycle, you never know until it happens. Some tracks are good, some tracks are not. So We'll see if Monaco
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Yeah, so we'll see. I like Monaco. I know Paul hates it. I know it's a parade sometimes, but the pomp and circumstance is fun. You know, I like
Like
I
I've
like
said
that
it
part of it
before,
too.
I get the history behind it. I get the pomp and circumstance. It's tough to get rid of it on the schedule because it just comes with so much history behind it. But it's been a parade of the last few years. It's the most exciting part of it was qualifying. Now, I will grant you that new regulations, I just said in Canada it was a bit of a dud last year, and this year gave us more racing. So I am hopeful that this year will be better. And I am keeping my fingers crossed that we get a little bit, but to say that I'm looking forward to it, no. No, I'll be honest, I might just watch a 30-minute one that F1 TV gives us just to get it over with. But I'm
Which I
hoping
do
for all
really love that they do that.
Those are fun.
it makes it super easy. So I'm hopeful. I'm gonna try to be optimistic. I'm Denver Paul is gonna be a much more optimistic person.
You don't even have to necessarily be optimistic. Even if you've just upgraded to being neutral about it, that's progress, in my opinion.
That's
That
fair.
is
And
forward
mainly it's all
movement.
the weed in the air in Colorado that's just gonna make me be more optimistic.
Okay, well, any other thoughts before we talk predictions?
No, but we should have colluded before we hit live so we can beat
I
Josh.
know. I'm
Clearly
so
we
sick of
didn't.
being an honest person.
And
Let's
this bastard is gonna come out with 10 points out of the bag.
Okay, well, Josh, since you are leading the pack, I will have you go first, do the honors.
This is gonna be different. I'm gonna take Charles number 1, Lewis 2, George 3, and then I think that there will be a McLaren above the second Mercedes.
Okay. Okay, what about you, Paul?
I am going to go with I don't know. Come back to me. I still haven't figured it out.
Okay, well, I also have Charles winning. I have Lando in second, Lewis in third, and I've got Haas scoring points again.
Like it?
I will say though, I was trying to decide if I was going to go Alpine. That's how much I believe in Alpine right now that I nearly went Alpine.
For Alpine double points, you mean? Or what?
No, I was just going Alpine points.
Oh, I
But
think Alpine double points is a safe bet, to be honest.
I think it could be, but I've already wrote it down. And once I write it down, I'm like, that has to be it. Because if I write it down and then I come in and I change, then I'm swayed by the conversation. So that's why I have to write it down ahead of time.
It's supposed to be kind of a shocker, right? It's supposed to be kind of a big pick.
Yeah.
I think the Haas getting a point is less likely than double Alpine or to Alpine. So I think you're good.
There would have to be safety cars and errors for
Yeah.
us to get a point. So I feel
I
good
don't
with
know
it.
about
We'll see.
I don't know about that. I think they could do it on pace. I think Behrman could be in that 9th, 10th spot.
Maybe. We'll see.
We'll see.
Go ahead, Paul.
I got Lewis, Max, and Oscar for my shocker. I'm gonna completely just
Oh,
take a
that wasn't
blank.
a shocker?
Max is a shocker. I'm shocked.
I am shocked. That's why I was like,
I thought you guys were being mean to me like always.
we are.
God, I hate this.
Nothing a healthy amount of bullying.
I hope
doesn't
your
mean
you know what,
shocker
I'm
is
just-
friendship.
your shocker better be
I'm-
extremely shocking at this point.
It's not. It's not. I'm just taking what you just said 5 minutes ago or 30 seconds ago. I'm taking Alpine double points and Williams and one Williams of the points. Just because I need a bone right now, and I think that's a safe bet.
Okay. Okay, so I got Lewis, Max, and Oscar, Alpine double points, and a Williams for your shocker.
Correct. Yep, I totally stole that from Josh. I'm just
I
gonna
love
say
it.
it.
I don't know
Going
what part of that
full
you
send.
the only thing you stole from me is the Alpine. I'm not taking any credit for that podium.
No. I know the Alpine double points is what I'm seeing from you. I need something.
I love it. I love it. Oh, that's a good one. But you realize if Williams doesn't get a point, or if Alpines don't get double, then your whole shocker spot.
Okay, can we not be negative Nancy's right now?
Okay, that's right. We traded roles today. You were
positive.
being positive, and I'm being
Yes,
negative.
yes. You remember Denver Paul. Denver Paul.
That's right. Denver Paul. We've got positive Paul over in Colorado. Okay. Yeah. Any other F1 updates or anything on the F1 front?
The only news right now is that Cadillac might ditch Valtteri. It's kind of
Which I don't think that's a
floating
shocker for
around.
anybody.
There-
It was kind
look,
of
it's-
always like I feel like it was kind of an unspoken thing. Like
You guys asked if there was anything in the
Not
news. I'm
going
just
I
going
know.
what was in the news.
I know. I'm just saying, like, I don't feel like it's super shocking though. Like, I don't think everybody knows that Colton Herta is Andretti's boy. And with Andretti and the Cadillac relationship, to me, that's been a no-brainer. The only reason he didn't get the seat in the first place is because he didn't have the super license points for it, right?
I just didn't think it was going to happen so soon.
It's not
And how
happening.
can you
There's
judge
no
a
way.
driver based on this if the car's been a dud? None of them have
I mean, I
done
think
I
the
don't
car's
even
a
think
dud.
I wouldn't even say that. I think Sergio's shown that car does have some pace. I mean, it's their first season, their first 4 or 5 races. They have so much to learn and they're figuring it out. I think Sergio has shown that car can battle at the bottom of that midfield. I don't think that they're relegated to the Aston Martin status yet. I think they
Yeah.
have chances to get some upgrade packages in, and I don't see them going for points anytime soon. But to be racy is completely different. Now,
Well,
Yeah.
there is a huge gap
maybe
between the two of them. I'll give them that. There is quite a large gap between Sergio and Valtteri right
that's
now,
fair.
and I think that's what's driving
That's why I
some of these
could
rumors. But
That's why I could see a silly season swap. Like, I mean, I don't think they're going to cut Checo in the, I mean, not Checo. I don't think they're going to cut Bottas in the European leg. But I think if they're already seeing such a big performance gap between Checo and Bottas, I could see them going, well, you know what? It's already going to be a throwaway season. We're not competing for points. Colton Herta now has enough super license points. Let's move him up. Let's get him in the F1 seat this season. Let's get him comfortable in the pressure and the new regulations, get him used to it. And then let's hit 2027 hard. Like, I could see that being a really sound business decision. Bottas is a great brand ambassador. He is. He's just a joy to have around. He's a great brand ambassador. And I think keeping him in the family, I think he would stay on just to have something to do. I think he'd be a great reserve driver for them. I think it would make a lot of sense for them to put Colton Herta in the seat mid-season to get him used to it and hit the ground running strong in 2027. I think the question for me is, do they have Checo in 2027? Because I've heard more rumors about Checo being reached out to by multiple teams that are midfield to top tier, and I could see Checo bouncing. And that's why I think, like, if I'm Cadillac and I know that I might have a hard time holding on to Checo, why not put Colton Herta in the car, let him learn some things from Checo while Checo's still here if Checo's going to be a flight risk. That's what I see happening.
Josh, I see the gears turning.
I don't see Checo leaving. I think he stays for a couple seasons. I think for one, obviously the North American connection, right? Like Mexico is a large
Mhm.
part of American car manufacturing and culture. So I see them, throwing everything they can to keep him committed and on board from a sponsorships perspective, because he does bring a ton of sponsorship money. I think that Sergio will have some sort of loyalty since, Cadillac went on a limb and brought him back in. He hadn't raced in several years and did not look very good when he left the last time. So I'd see a little bit of loyalty, like, hey, they gave me a chance. I'm going to give them a chance. I'm sure that there's been discussion as far as, hey, this first year, we're really trying to figure it out. Give us a chance. I doubt he's going to jump ship this quick. I don't think they promised him, points and podium battles in the first year. I think that this is probably right on pace where he wants to be. If you want to give the second seat away, I definitely could see Valtteri getting the axe. I think it's more likely to see that Ocon gets shipped out first before I see either of the Cadillac drivers going anywhere.
That was another rumor. Yeah.
But I feel like Io Komatsu came out and he was very, very heated about that. And he was like, this is bullshit. Like, the rumors are rumors.
Yeah, and then
And I feel
Ocon
like
goes
Io
out there
Komatsu's not one to get heated.
sure, but you're not going to go out there and be neutral either, in front of the camera. Even if there was trouble in paradise, he's not going to go out there and say, well, we'll just have to see how the European leg goes, and maybe he'll stay, maybe he won't. He's going to come out there and defend this guy. That's natural, of course, but there's a huge gap between Ocon and Behrman, and that's tough when Haas is in a position where they need two strong drivers to kind of have these midfield points up for grabs. And Ocon was the guy that was supposed to come in with experience and kind of help Behrman out, but kind of not seeing that one play out.
I don't
It's
think we
never too
are.
early to start with silly season talk, that's for sure.
I agree. I mean, like, I still am of the belief that Oscar Piastri will not be at McLaren next year.
Mm.
I think there is going to be an opening at McLaren. And that's why if I'm McLaren and I see Checo and I know the potential that he has, and unless you're going to take one of these rookie drivers and move them into one of those seats.
I think you take George. I see a George Piastri switch.
You do?
I could see that. I could absolutely see that.
Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen.
But look, think about it.
That is wild. I love that. That thought had never even
Yeah,
crossed my brain.
because Piastri has experience. His only experience is with that power unit, right? He comes in to that spot. He already knows the systems. He already knows how the car feels and drives. So that's a huge plus when you're looking for another driver. He's frustrated where he's at. He wants out. He's shown that he is and can be a championship contender. George
But do
looks
you
to be
think
unhappy.
he would be willing to go take second seat?
Would it be? I wouldn't sell it as a second seat. I'd sell it as a first seat. Hey, look, Kimmy's really good, but you got more experience. Come show us what you can do. I think he would be billed as an equal footing, which I know doesn't go over very well with him and his manager, Mark Webber. But as far, where else do you go? Where else do you go? Does he go to Red Bull? Does he go there? I just don't see him going down the field, right? So where do you go if you're going from McLaren, your options are Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull.
Was talking about like George not going to take a second seat. Like I
No,
don't see George ever accepting a contract at McLaren if Lando is still there. I could see Oscar taking a contract, seeing the possibility in the moves that I could see Oscar being like, I know my potential, I know my worth. I don't see George being like, yeah, I'll come play second to Lando
all
and
right. So
Zach. That's what I was
same
referring to.
token. Where does he go that he wouldn't be second fiddle? There's not a single team that doesn't have a all-star locked number one guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least top team, and he's not going
I,
to go to a bottom. He's not going to go to a midfield team.
I'd say
No.
even through the midfield, like if you want to call Alpine midfield now, Oscar or Piastri would fit well there, I think. But what are you going to bump Colapinto? And Gasly's their number
Yeah.
one. So if you have that, Gasly's always going to be the number one at that French team, right? It's just the natural
Yeah.
fit. I don't know.
Oh,
Could you see George Russell with Haas? Like it just doesn't fit.
Honestly, maybe he needs it.
it doesn't have
I
a
think
good ring to it.
it just doesn't work. I think he'd quit before he went and did that. It just seems very George-esque to quit because he wouldn't get his way. You know what I mean?
That's why I'm like, I am worried that if he doesn't get a world title this year,
I could see.
I don't like it makes me very,
It's my very early,
like,
way too early, silly season 2028.
yeah,
Like,
it's gonna
Man,
be crazy, y'all.
I love it. I love it. Listen,
I do
this is
too.
just amazing.
I never have ever once thought about a George Oscar swap, and that would be insanity. I love it. Can you imagine two British divas on McLaren? Can you imagine George and Lando, just two British boys just bitching on the radio?
oh yeah, they would definitely clash. Which
1000%.
100%.
They
Which
would
would make
full on just wreck into each other.
which would make great headlines for us to talk about for sure. Oh,
Okay.
man.
Any other F1 thoughts?
No, I'm good.
Okay, well, let's move on to IndyCar because we had two races back to back. The biggest one of the season, the Indy 500, and then the Detroit GP yesterday. So Indy 500, none of us predicted the winner. We did an extra bonus point with our predictions, and Josh had predicted Joseph Newgarden to win. Paul had predicted Pato O'Ward to win. I had predicted David Malukas to win, and that one was hard.
so close.
I love Felix Rosenquist. And so I was super, super happy for him. I'm not going to lie. It took me back to the 2024 Indy 500, that last lap battle, last corner battle with Joseph Newgarden and Pato O'Ward. That was the same vibes it gave me. And I couldn't watch the actual race. I could only watch from driver onboards on the IndyCar app. So I was on David Malukas's onboard and it was a little glitchy and I thought David had won. I was jumping up and down screaming. And then all of a sudden I see Rosenquist move to the top.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
let me just dive into this pool real quick.
Yeah, that was just an amazing race. The first quarter of it was a bit of a dud because kind of started off slow, but towards that back half, man, that race really picked up. I could not have gone to a nicer guy. Felix Rosenquist,
Yeah.
he just had a baby, so congrats to him. And to win the Indy 500 with the closest margin in Indy 500 history was just incredible. You could see how much this means to those drivers. David Malukas was just distraught, rightfully so. Overall, what an amazing. And then between third, fourth, and fifth, that was also a photo finish, was just incredible. All in all, watching that only solidified that we as a podcast have to go at some point to the Indy 500 because it looks to be incredible. It was, I believe this was the first time it was completely sold out. They
That's
were,
cool. I
they were
didn't know
talking
that.
about
I
they
would have
didn't have
thought there would have been tons of times it was completely sold out.
no,
I'm like, that's
they
wild.
they kept saying on some of the podcasts I listened to, there's still some grandstand tickets available, but it was completely sold out this year, and that just shows how Indy's growing. IndyCar as a whole is growing, so it just solidified that we need to go, and this race means a lot to these drivers, and overall, I can't say how much fun it was to watch it.
Yeah, agreed. I thought it was really, especially for people who maybe like aren't as into IndyCar. I felt like this race was a really great example of like why I do love IndyCar because last lap craziness. I mean, like that's how down to the wire it can be any given week. And I feel
Oh,
like the Indy 500 is such a good example of it. And I'm glad the viewership of it was strong. I'm glad the attendance was strong because like you said, the motor, like it's growing in the motorsport fanhood. I think there have been people who have always been diehard IndyCar IndyCar fans, but I feel like there are a lot of us that maybe joined into it because of Formula One and then segued over into IndyCar. And I feel like this was a really strong Indy 500 delivery for those that maybe were watching for the first time or like an early adopter of it. So
Yeah,
I thought it was
absolutely.
great.
Yeah, it was, I the last, like, 40 laps, I was on the edge of my seat, and then I was starting to have a panic attack when Pato was fighting towards the top, and man, because I Pato needs to win it. It's been the one race that just he's been so close. So, man,
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun watching it.
Did you watch the whole thing, Josh?
No, I only watched the first half of it before I got pulled away.
Oh man,
So I saw
you
what
watched the
happened, but
worst
no,
half
I
of
know.
it.
I was like, "This is boring. Safety cars and just we'll restart and
I
And
spin
did
out and
feel
hit each other."
yeah, I did feel really bad for Ed Carpenter.
yeah, Ed Carpenter, and then,
And Catherine Legg, that made me
yes,
really sad. I
because
was like,
she yeah. Also, I feel like she didn't get the same hype that Kyle Larson got the last couple years, and that was kind of a bummer because Kyle Larson did have a big hype going into it. He's going to try the double, and this was the first female that's tried it, and it wrecked. She wrecked. It wasn't on her.
it wasn't her fault, but
It
the
wasn't her
narrative will
fault.
still be this was the first woman in history to attempt the double and she DNF'd. That is what the narrative will still be, and that
Yeah,
pisses
yeah. It
me
was kind
off.
of a bummer that she
I
didn't
hope
quite
she
get
gets
the
to do it again next year.
hopefully, but yeah, like I said, it was a
Elf,
bummer
keep
she
up
didn't
that
quite get the
sponsorship.
publicity that she get, but overall, it was kind of cool to see, you know, that her going out there. I don't think do they call it a livery in IndyCar? Regardless, it was a good livery.
Pink scheme,
The makeup
livery,
brand
I don't
that
know.
she partnered up with was a lot of fun. So overall, it was a great time.
Yeah, I thought it was
And the IndyCar on YouTube had a great little 40-minute little documentary on the history of IndyCar. I'd suggest you guys go and watch that. That was a lot of fun to watch and really educational.
I'm also a huge fan of the 100 Days to Indy show that they do. It's like they follow the drivers, some of the
Yeah,
drivers leading up to the Indy 500, and that's a really great one too. I love watching that every
yeah,
year. It's very emotional and it makes you know the drivers more. It's very much a Drive to Survive style, where it like follows different drivers each episode, so you really get to know more of their backstory, where are they from, what's their life like, and it just makes you more invested in them as drivers too. So I
yeah,
think it's really well done, that
yeah. The
one.
best part was seeing Lando. Lando was there on those grounds,
Yeah.
walking around. They
He's like, "Peace
interviewed it.
out, Montreal."
Yeah, they interviewed him, and he was like, he said he would love to race the Indy 500 one day.
Yeah, but one day when it doesn't conflict with the F1 calendar, which is
You know,
every year in history.
listen. And our boy Danny Rick was there. Danny Rick hanging
Yeah.
out with Connor Daly.
That merch collab with Connor Daly was honestly really cool. I liked
Was
it.
it?
I didn't get any of the pieces because I've been going a little hard in the motorsport merch paint, but I thought it
Yeah,
was a really great collection, and I loved that he showed up to support Connor and to rep their brand. I thought that was awesome.
yeah. It was a great time.
Okay, Indy, Detroit GP yesterday, absolute mayhem and chaos. Like all the way to honestly, like those last, like up until like the last 8 laps, it was mayhem and chaos. What did we have? Like 6 full course yellow flag
Yeah.
cautions. Like what in the world? It was insane. I mean, ultimately, it went to Alex Palou, which like he's unstoppable. He's fantastic.
Can anybody stop this guy? I'm legitimately, that's a question. Can anybody stop Alex Palou right now?
Yes, they
That dude
can,
is
but,
on a
like,
tear.
let's talk about Kyle Kirkwood, who's also had a really solid season so far. Like, I think if his tires would have been slightly fresher, like, even if his tires had been 3 or 4 laps fresher, I think he would have had the pace because when we were, like, 10 laps to go, he was, like, point 0.6 seconds behind Palou, and he had a chance to make a lunge, and his tires just weren't there. It was a lunge in a corner, and he just didn't have the tires for it, and then from there, he just lost it, and I was like, "No," and it was the same time that Pato was making a lunge to go from 4th to 3rd. So I was like, come on, you guys. But
Yeah,
it didn't happen. Ultimately, it went to Palou. It's like you can't knock the dude. He's an incredible dude. He's driving fantastic. It is always fun to watch, especially because he like wasn't leading the whole race. I mean, for the first lot of the half of the race, it was Will Power that was leading. And then him and
right.
Scott had collision. It ended Will Power's race. Iconic move of Will Power to turn around. Did y'all see what he did to the camera?
No,
He
what'd he
turned
do?
around and he goes, "Fuck off."
Yeah,
It
And
was
Graham
great.
Rahal also had a great race.
Yeah. What is that? His second podium of the season? Third?
It's something like that, yeah.
Something like that. I was like, that's so exciting. I mean, I just really think the vibes are right at Ray Hall, Lanigan, Letterman Racing. I think the
Yeah,
vibes are right there right now. They're doing something really good. They are doing whatever Ed Carpenter Racing is not. Like ECR has had a rough couple of races. and RLL has had a really strong couple of races. So I'm like, I just need everything to level back out. Everybody level it on out here.
Yep. So overall, it's been and this year's been a lot of fun because you don't really know who's going to be towards the top. There's been a lot of podium change. It's been a lot of fun.
Agreed. A lot of fun new podium sitters too. That like that's I think that's always really cool to see because it's like any given weekend in IndyCar, you could see something change up. That I it's just wild. But we're seeing the same thing in NASCAR right now too. So
Yep.
I want to. Any other closing thoughts on IndyCar?
You know, so it was a lot of
Okay,
fun.
so speaking of, like, kind of some surprise wins that maybe we didn't see coming, Daniel Suarez won the Coca-Cola 600, which was the same day as Canada, Indy 500, NASCAR, Coca-Cola 600. Daniel Suarez won it. It was an emotional race weekend for everybody because we had just had the passing of Kyle Busch. They did the missing man formation lap for Kyle to honor him. It was just like leading up to that. It was very, very emotional. So like hearts were very, very heavy. And Daniel Suarez and Kyle Busch were very close. So what an emotional victory for Daniel. And I think that like winning the Coca-Cola 600 is a big thing for any NASCAR driver. And I think it meant that much more for Daniel Suarez that weekend. Like them having that bond, him doing the rowdy bow was just really, really cool. I really think that all the drivers really paid their respects, even if they were foes of
I mean,
Kyle
not
Busch.
just the
I think
drivers,
they all
but
just showed so much
you
respect.
you saw them you saw them talking about it in F1. You saw them talking about it in
Yeah.
Yeah.
IndyCar. I think he Kyle Busch is and will always be one of those names that just synonymous with NASCAR. It's just one of those. Even if you know nothing about the sport, even if you've never seen a race, even if you know nothing, you always will know Kyle Busch, and you will always know that M&M paint scheme that car had. It's just iconic. It's will forever be and the motorsports as a whole lost a great individual. Whether you loved him or you hate him because he was a dick on track and whatever it was, he still brought eyes and he still was a man that
Yeah.
just deserves the respect. And I feel bad for his family and for his little guy that is racing right now. He's not going to have that guidance there. But it was as a whole, the world of motorsports did a great job in honoring his legacy, and it was just great to see that. I guess you can call him a protege, but somebody that really leaned on him in Carlos Suarez or Daniel Suarez, sorry, won that race, and you could tell he was emotional for everybody. And last yesterday, Denny winning in Nashville. I think he's one win less than Kyle Busch in the all time wins record. So it's just
Yeah.
those two fought side by side for years, and they were foes, and it's just was very emotional as a whole.
Yeah.
So
No
it's been
doubt.
it's been a lot of fun. This
I
is my
think
first year.
about, Denny Hamlin and like his relationship with the other drivers. And, he's a very vocal driver. People love him or hate him. I think a lot of people felt that way about Kyle Busch too. And so I feel like those last 4 laps of the NASCAR race in Nashville last night with the restart happening 4 laps to go, those 4 laps were all out mayhem for Joe Gibbs Racing. I
Yeah,
mean, between Briscoe, Denny Hamlin, and Christopher Bell, all drivers who I love. Like I was
yeah, it all came
what
down to the wire.
the TF? Like I did not think Denny had it. I did not think he had it.
Well, and
So
just
it was
that,
like,
just Denny has
huh?
had issues with restarts. We all know
Yeah.
that. He has not been very good come to restarts, and he did it. He was there. So
But I imagine like that final lap. Like, you just have to be 100% on, you have to be 100% focused, like, how do you shut everything else out? I cannot even imagine, and so for those 3 cars to be going at it so close, I mean, they all swapped the lead in that final lap multiple times, and it was just absolute insanity till they crossed the finish line, and how do you tune that out knowing, like, what an emotional win that was? Like, I don't
yeah,
know how they do it. Are they just little driver robots? Because that shit is insane to me.
probably. But yeah, right now, if you have a Toyota, if you're sitting in a Toyota, the Toyotas are doing really well.
Stock
So
is going up in the
absolutely,
Toyotas after last night's race.
big shout out to Shane Van Gisberg. And he does really
Where
well
did
on
he end
both
up? Where did he finish up?
races.
Like ninth,
No, he finished fifth.
5th? That's
Fifth.
amazing.
Shane Van Gisberg does not do well in ovals, and that's been a big talking point with him. Is he does great in street courses and road courses, but when it comes to ovals, he does awful. So good for him. He's starting to really come to his own. So he finished
He's just
fifth.
an absolute beast.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job.
Okay, let's see. What other racing do we have this weekend? We have
We had IMSA,
Monaco.
right, Josh?
Win IMSA last
We've
weekend.
got NASCAR in Michigan.
Yep.
We've got IMSA at Mid Ohio. Oh my gosh, we've got MotoGP in Hungary too. And we got the BWTR. Why am I blanking on what that stands for IndyCar? Is that the WeatherTech Raceway? Because that's got to be the WeatherTech Raceway because that's not Laguna Seca. That's
No, June 7th. I
what
guess.
is WWTR?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, we'll figure it out. But we've got a lot of great racing this weekend. I'm excited. I don't have any plans. I'm going to be posted up on my couch on Sunday, watching racing, doing nothing, hanging out, eating snacks,
This week, IndyCar is in St. Louis, Missouri.
which is at the WWTR, which is what, Paul?
Worldwide Technology Raceway, located
Okay,
outside
I
of
said
St. Louis,
WeatherTech.
Missouri.
I knew I was close. I was in there
You were in the
somewhere.
ballpark. You were in the ballpark.
I was in there. Well, we've got an awesome weekend full of racing, so we're going to be excited. We will be back next week. Josh is going to host next week, debrief Monaco, all the good stuff. Any other closing thoughts, guys?
Nope. I'm gonna be moving this weekend, so pray for me.
We will. With a puppy. Nothing
No.
like carrying in boxes and tripping over your tiny little dog.
God, please don't. I don't want to trip on anything.
Please
I
no
gotta stay
injuries
healthy.
during
I
this
gotta stay.
move.
I got a job to apply for, so I gotta stay
That's
healthy.
right. That's right. Well, I must just say, it's so good for all three of us to be back. Life is crazy. We'll always be being bonging all over the place, but it's so fun getting to be back with you guys and just catch up on racing. As always, follow us on socials, like, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your coworkers, share with strangers. We're open to it all. And we'll
Absolutely.
see you guys next week. Have a great week, y'all.
Bye now.